Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is The Amateur, where we're here just to talk life, hobbies, politics, ideologies, what have you. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about personality, especially as it pertains to the Myers-Briggs personality test. And to start off, I have some wonderful news. I just got recently accepted into a doctoral program to get my PhD in clinical psychology, so I'll become a clinical psychologist / therapist. And I'm super excited. It's a full ride, full scholarships, all paid for. And I start in like 2 weeks, which is why I'm moving, and I will also probably not be pushing out as many videos as I might want to, as I'm trying to get my life settled in and settled down and starting school and all. I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to it. I know I don't know. So you see this personality on the screen. How I am in person is a little bit different. I'm not shy, but I'm very reserved for the most part. But I know, like with my sisters and my family, they tell me that I need to work on not being so direct, which I don't like. Like for me, I'm a person, like I like to cut through all the crap to get to the truth, to get to the point of the matters. But when you're talking with therapy, you got to be more careful of not upsetting the person that you're speaking with, so I got to work on that, and hopefully they'll teach me those things. But I'm super excited. And on those lines, going with the intro of this episode is to talk about the Myers-Briggs personality test. And so there's two things that I want to do first. So, well, besides talking about my personal results, but I'm going back to a paper that I wrote as a freshman in college, which was like, oh my gosh, it was a while ago. Wow, it was about 8 years ago. About 8 years ago, a freshman in college. I wrote it as part of a group, though I want to say that it was probably mainly me that wrote it, just for my personality type and then just the people that I'm with, but not to throw them under the bus or anything. It wasn't like an issue. It wasn't an issue, but I'm pretty sure I wrote most of it because that's just what I do. It's just what I do. But I just want to read it because it is related. I'm not gonna read everything because it's kind of long, but I thought it was good. So, starting off, yeah. So pretty much though what this assignment was, before getting into I'm all over the place. Before getting into the assignment, it was just to create a study. I think it wanted us to be able to list and explain the different psychological terms and studies and techniques to say how we would do a particular study. And so one of the things that we suggested was seeing how a personality test, if implemented, could help see which personalities tend to thrive at the school that you're in, just be applicable to all schools, and potentially having that as part of the application process, just to kind of have a feel for who's applying, and having it be a potentially like determining factor if more or less all the other application tests and scores are the same. Obviously it's not foolproof, but I'm gonna go ahead and read the background. So, causes of personality. What exactly is personality? What defines and determines it? According to Tice 2015, personality is an individual's unique constellation of consistent behavioral traits. A personality trait is a durable disposition to behave in a particular way in a variety of situations. There is a wide range of views of the origins of personality that stem from different schools of psychological thought. The first perspectives on personality came from Sigmund Freud's Psychodynamic perspective. Freud believed that personalities stemmed from childhood experiences, which were mainly sexual in nature. He believed there were 5 psychosexual stages during childhood, and over or under indulgences in these stages led to the development of adult personalities. He believed these desires were unconscious and were completely in place by age 12. Several critics, including Carl Jung and Alfred Adler, claimed that Freud focused too much on childhood sexuality and not enough on personality growth throughout life. Jung claimed personality was related to rational versus irrational thinking and introversion versus extroversion. Adler claimed a person's personality was developed by a superiority complex and the development of an inferiority complex. While many of these factors do play a role in personality, most of these psychodynamic perspectives were discredited due to poor testability and inadequate evidence. Erik Erikson developed a psychosocial perspective that took into account lifelong change of personality. He claimed that personality was determined by 8 crises that people go through throughout their lives. These crises were trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, and integrity versus despair. The crises build on each other to develop and change personality throughout a person's lifetime. The behaviorist perspective claims that personality is determined by response tendencies tied to various stimuli. This perspective believes personality is completely shaped by classical and operant conditioning and observational learning. While behaviorist theories are easy to test, critics of this theory complain that the perspective neglects to consider cognitive processes when responding to stimuli. Critics also point out that most of the behaviorist research relies solely on animal models, which again neglect complex cognitive processes. The humanistic perspective of personality emphasizes the unique quality of humans to exert their free will and their innate desire for personal growth. Unlike the psychodynamic perspective, they believe that personality is driven by conscious needs. Carl Rogers theorized that personality is created by self-concept, a collection of beliefs about one's own nature, unique qualities, and typical behavior. Maslow's theory incorporated a hierarchy of needs that lead to self-actualizing behavior. These theories were criticized due to poor testability, an unrealistic view of human nature, and inadequate evidence. The biological perspective claims that personality is genetic and/or due to biological processes. It claims that personality is shaped by evolution selecting for the best traits. Eisnick developed the biological theory for personality, which focused on biological processes within the brain. He believes that introversion is caused by high levels of baseline physiological arousal, which cause the person to avoid overstimulation. Extroversion is caused by low levels of physiological arousal, which cause the person to look for extra stimulation. These theories are supported by twin studies which show that personality is at least 50% inherited. Overall, science has not come to do a definite conclusion about what causes personality. Most scientists believe in a type of Gestalt perspective, which incorporates all of the others. All of the perspectives have some reason of truth in them and therefore combine to create the complex idea of personality. The traits of personality are measurable, but the causes are not. Okay. Personality and performance. This is a long video. And am I just tooting my horn by reading it? Maybe. But it's interesting. It's interesting. To me, at least. In a meta-analysis, Hogan and Chemerow-Premuzic assume that career success is based on 2 categories, getting a job and keeping a job. They propose that in order to predict someone keeping a job, a 5-factor model FFM personality test and an ambition test should be administered. Those with high ambition, extroversion, and conscientiousness are more likely to keep a job. Ambition predicts competitiveness, extroversion predicts sociability, and conscientiousness predicts conformity, all of which lead to an increase in expected job stability. The study found the FFM personality test did correlate to job performance. In another meta-analysis based on the FFM and job performance, different personality types were found to correlate with different job requirements. Conscientiousness and emotional stability were found to be positively correlated with performance in most careers. The other 3 factors were only found to be positively correlated in certain job areas. Extroversion predicts effectiveness in jobs where social interaction is a large part of the job, such as sales and management. Extroversion is also correlated to jobs which require teamwork. Agreeableness and openness have much weaker correlations with most job performances, but high correlation in specific circumstances. Agreeableness predicts performance in jobs that require high interpersonal relationships and a nurturing or caring role. Openness is a good predictor of performance when the job requires extensive training. People who score high in the openness tend to be training ready. Measuring personality. A multitude of pre-made tests are available to measure personality based off the psychodynamic, phenomenological, humanistic, trait, biological, and socio-cognitive perspectives of psychology. Personality tests such as Sigmund Freud's psychodynamic personality test would be ineffective to use in this study, since huge flaws exist in Freud's psychodynamic perspective, such as the huge emphasis on childhood sexuality. And speaking of which, like, I don't think we talk about that enough. Like, Sigmund Freud was also very problematic. He might have been a whole pedophile. Maybe that was already stated and I just missed that part. Let's see. The Rorschach-Inkblock personality test would not be viable to use because generally a psychologist or examiner is needed to evaluate and interpret the results. For this experiment, multiple examiners would have to be used due to the population size, and this could result in biases due to the different perspectives of the examiners. Furthermore, studies show that the Rorschach-Inkblock test has poor validity, so it would not be optimal to use in this experiment. Again, the experiment, if we had to give a personality test to a bunch of students to determine what their personality is and just correlate that to their academic performance, what have you, to see if there is a correlation of personality types. So some personality tests exist solely for this area field. A well-known personality test is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the Mbti, which is based off Carl Jung's theory of a person's preferred way of attending to the world. In the research study of Caparo and Caparo 2002, reliability and validity of the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator test was tested to confirm whether it should be widely used as an indicator of personality. Overall, the study showed that on average, the MBTI tends to yield scores with acceptable reliability and validity. While the research study does support the use of the MBTI as a strong indicator of personality, it fails to report the validity of or reliability of other personality tests. The research further explains the components of MBTI, and I know this is going long, I'm draining, this is boring, the views aren't coming in, and that's okay, but it's going to lead into the next video. I will cut this video short. Yeah. Anyway. The MBTI is composed of 4 pairs of opposites: extroversion, introversion, EI, sensing, intuition, SN, thinking and /feeling, TF, and judgment / perception, JP. Extroversion and introversion element focuses on whether the subject is internally or externally oriented. The SN dimension evaluates whether a person relies on facts from the senses or insight from intuition. The TF dimension measures the logical thinking to decision-making or an interpersonal feeling approach. And finally, the JP dimension analyzes whether a person plans and organizes for activities, J, or prefers spontaneity and flexibility, P. With the MBTI, a subject is only permitted to have one or the other of the 4 components. The different dimensions then combine to create 16 personality types. Oh yeah, so that was pretty much that video that of my paper. I say my paper, our paper for the people who wrote it with me. But that was just pretty much to set up the understanding of personalities, and this again, I think you see all the previous video where I talked about the cult of no personality, so how people make things their personality that shouldn't be their personality, or it's a misnomer of a personality, or it's not actually them. The point of this video, though, was just to kind of set up and establish understanding what personality is, especially as it pertains to MBTI, and I will explain that in my next video when I discuss taking the test. So that was that. What the heck do I know? I'm just an amateur. About to be a non-amateur in a certain field. It's going to take a while, but it's going to happen. So there's that. But I guess let me know what you think. This wasn't really a discussion video, but that's okay. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.